Welcome to Ask Me How I Know, the podcast where I let you know how I know that healing is possible, magic is real, and love is the answer. And who am I? Well, I'm your host, Ebony Isis Booth, but you can call me Ebony. I'm a certified liberatory coach, cultural strategist, and forever student of Black feminist wisdoms. For over 25 years, my path has woven its way through sectors of arts and entertainment, corporate sales and service industries, independent education, nonprofit organizing, and ultimately here into the sacred work of healing and co-creating liberatory pathways alongside Black women who find themselves at the crossroads in new and emergent leadership roles. Now, this space here is my deepest offering. I crafted it from a life of learning through experiences, of responding to deep internal calls for insight, and trusting this very keen perception that has always guided me. This show is built with intention, divine love for Black people, and a sanctuary for our lived experiences, our spiritual gifts, and our journey back to unlimited and abiding self-love. We move beyond theory into practice. We exchange commodified self-help for ancestral intelligence and ways of being, how we've been new. We get very real about how healing is possible, magic is real, and love is the answer. And every single strategy, every story and ritual that I share literally is birthed from the laboratories of my own life and the sacred trust of my work as a healer and an Oshun devotee. So when I offer you a way through, you'll understand that the source is bigger than me. You'll know somewhere deep down inside to lean in and ask. Go ahead. Ask me how I know. Let's get into today's show, y'all. If you like what you are hearing and seeing, please, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and click the like button and subscribe. You can even leave me something down in the comments. If you are listening wherever you get your podcast, be sure to subscribe and rate the show to let the people know that it don't suck. This is a fully independent production. We are back for season 2, and I am super excited to be back in front of the camera with you. 2025 literally turned me every which way but loose. How about you? Whew. And so we're back here at the top of the year with some new things to share, some new formatting, some new options, some new ways of going about engaging each other, and my approach to sharing my thoughts and my voice and taking up space in the ethers of the internets, if you will. So I'm really excited about that. So this season, I don't know how many episodes are. We'll say I think there were 17 episodes last year, so we'll say there will be at least as many this year. I don't know. I noticed when I was looking back over my blog and Substack and rewriting my website, ebonyisisbooth.com, I was noticing all these different places where at the beginning of the year, while I am not someone who makes New Year's resolutions, I found myself consistently launching big starts at the beginning of the year. 2025 is going to be different. I'm going to monetize my Substack in 2025. I'm going to roll out this work in 2025. And then, like I said, 2025 had other plans at the beginning of the year, starting from the top, from the 6th all the way through. It just like the hits kept on rolling all year long. And it really did not let its foot off my neck at all. I had a little bit of a break. In December, I took some time to travel and be with family and have my holiday break from work. I extended that break a couple of weeks into the new year. However, the socio-political climate and my very human flesh suit, mind, body, and spirit was weary and are still, right? So I don't want to start this year by making any promises, but I did feel motivated to continue with the podcast because I think that it's important for me to share my thoughts and my ideas. Well, we'll talk about it in today's episode. So what's new? in this season. We have segments, y'all. We have segments. Now, Ask Me How I Know is 100% independently produced by moi on Riverside, and that's great, but it is not free. It is a labor of love and all of my good, warm, fuzzy intentions to talk more to people about the power and importance of self-love and systems regulation for liberation as an inside job, like from the inside out, and what that actually means. I want to contribute a compassionate and loving wisdom and integral voice into the collective so that I can, share a little something about what I know in hopes that it blesses and helps you in the ways in which life has been a blessing and teacher to me. So that's why I do that. This season, we have some segments that kind of lean into more of my own self leadership and my own self energy, my vulnerability, and just being honest and less nervous or afraid about what people are going to think. Have you seen some of the stuff that people put on the internet? And I be running around here scared to say something that's going to like offend somebody or say something wrong or incorrect or what. Child, anybody got time for that? Nobody has. We do not have time for that. So I want to start off the episodes with one of my favorite things. Greasy gravy. One of my favorite things is greasy gravy. I'm not a gravy person per se, or maybe I am very particular about my gravy. And let me tell you about why I love greasy gravy. And if you don't know, I'm about to tell you and put you up on game on what I mean when I say greasy gravy. Now, for the purposes of this segment, greasy gravy is a little social commentary to stick to your fingertips, just a little social commentary to stick to your fingertips and your lips, okay? It's a little bit more of my personal read on the world and how I see it, whether or not that's some social phenomenon that's happening, Black culture specifically, or the spiritual consequences of the time and situations that we're facing. And perhaps it is the intellection and context of all three of those components together in just what I'm holding as I come into the room, right? But I'm calling it greasy gravy because, greasy gravy is the kind of gravy that comes from a good roasting pan of meat that's been seasoned and rubbed down so that even in its raw state, it looked like it might already have been cooked, Perhaps there's an onion sliced on top of it and a drizzle or rub down of olive oil or cooking oil or butter or something. And then it gets covered up in the roasting pan and baked in an oven anywhere from 350 to 425 degrees for a period of anywhere from 35, 45 minutes to multiple hours of just cooking delicious meat in a roasting pan. And then when it's done and it's over and you uncover it and steam escapes off the top of the pot and you have this just aromatic, tender turkey wings or turkey necks. Oh my God. And it's just, it's kind of like, the greasy gravy that is at the bottom of the big black roasting pan with the white speckles on it. Greasy gravy, right? And you put it over rice. And it just kind of like you see the rice floating in the bottom of it and you eat it with a crescent roll. The crescent roll flakes stick to your fingers. You know what I'm talking about. That shit slaps. I don't do white gravy. I don't like sausage gravy. Brown gravy from scratch, better. More inclined to get into that. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're doing, make that good brown gravy. And, down to the Jamaican spot, the oxtail gravy, stuff like that. I could take that. I like it. I don't really rock with giblet gravy, too tough, because the giblets taste like little dusty rocks inside the gravy. But sometimes the gravy is good. But I like a good, greasy, sticky gravy, right? And that is kind of the feeling that I want to imbue into how we talk about what's going on. So it feels satisfactory, but you're aware, you might need to go wash your hands afterwards. You're going to need to go wash your hands afterwards. But something about that warmth, that enjoyment, the nostalgia of the meals, you know what I mean? Some good sticky chicken wings and rice and green beans that your mama done made on just like a random old Wednesday night and they'd be slapping. Greasy gravy. Those are the things. The nuances, the subtleties of the culture that I really love, right? The details. I'm a detail-oriented individual. I like the details. That's why I like my gravy greasy. Okay? But yeah, Anyway, where are we? We're talking about greasy gravy. So I won't always go into this liturgy about what greasy gravy is and why I love it every episode, but I do want you to know that greasy gravy is, my cultural commentary that I hope sticks to your lips and your fingertips and maybe gets all over things to just, let you know that it's all connected. So juicy. I don't know. We'll see how that rocks. Let me know what you think about greasy gravy or nah, either way. But yeah, so this week in greasy gravy, I just want to name this season that we're in collectively. Okay. In today's episode, today's episode is a reintroduction and a remembering of Ask Me How I Know, its intention, my framework, and who I am as a coach and cultural strategist, what my offering is, and what I'm working toward. This is also an invitation for you to remember with me to put these things together in a way that allows us to start to be intentional and in community with one another. Okay. We are starting from ground zero, from base, from jump. I deleted my social media, disappear. I don't even know if I'm going back there. I'm still on YouTube at Coach Ebony Said and Substack at Ebony Imago, but I don't know what's happening there. You really got to find me on my website, ebonyisisbooth.com. And there you will find all of my offerings and services and writings and links to the places where I exist, because I am an unmoored, unhoused millennial who has not found safe harbor in the wretched shores of the social media existence. I had to get out of there. But I'm naming the season that we're in collectively. And I want to share a framework that is a little lengthy, but just give you a kind of like a high level view of my less of a framework and more ways of being, and then take us through some of the how and why that ties into how I know that healing is possible, magic is real, and love is the answer. So come with me. Go ahead and pick up your biscuit and go ahead, get ready to dip it in this gravy. So right now, as a collective, we are careening toward and in the end of many different social structures and systems that we have either relied upon, been dependent on, been intentional about trying to dismantle or deconstruct or burn down. The realities that we have known generationally here on American soil are really like coming undone, unglued, unhinged, if you will. And that has caused for all hell to break loose on multiple levels in ways of being, thinking, knowing, sharing, showing up or not showing up. It's like in my 44 years, I have not experienced anything quite like this. And so without lending to the conversation in a way that is to fearmonger or promote any one rhetoric or purport to be a journalist or any of those things, I am not that. The personal is absolutely political. That will never change. We see the politics of identity, respectability playing out in the political space as it relates to healthcare, affordability, housing, food, access, education, the military, fascism, police state itself, the prison industrial complex, the nonprofit industrial complex, the medical industry. Like all of these industries and institutions are, crumbling, child. And as Patricia Hill Collins has stated in Black Feminist Thought, historically, Black women have worked the cracks, right? We have patched the cracks and worked the cracks inside these crumbling institutions. We have been right up on them. We see the seams in the places where the foundations of these institutions are falling apart. And we tend to go in and be the spackle in these spaces, right? To smooth over and literally keep the walls up for compensation that is often, 64, 66 cents on the dollar to white and non-Hispanic male counterparts. That's just the fix that been in this late stage capitalist hellscape that we exist inside of, right? And now that things are rapidly crumbling, ain't no spackle gonna quite do it, my good sis. Is not something that we might find sustainable to just hold up with our two hands, because even in that holding up that we have done for since time, there's still this deep internal challenge or belief that somehow we're still not doing enough. Because despite us putting our whole body against that thing to keep it erect and functioning for the benefit of ourselves, our families, our generations, our elders, our culture, our people, our country, our God, despite our best efforts, it's still crumbling, right? And we internalize that and have some sense of responsibility that means that we are somehow not doing enough. And in this season, I have spoken to, in the past 8 weeks, at least 10 Black women, coach partners, who are highly awarded, highly educated, have postgraduate degrees, hold executive leadership roles and positions in nonprofit and foundation spaces, who are mothers, partners, community activist leaders, fired chief commissioners, just these extraordinary Black women. And the common denominator from all of them, and I include myself in this because I got caught up in the bullshit too in Q4 2025. Don't feel like we're doing enough. So we be coming up with more shit to do. Don't feel like it's enough. We're worried that we're not doing enough. We're worried that we look a hot mess. We worry that we need more. I'm worried that I need to go get another certification. I should go get a professional degree that has just been declassified as a professional degree by the United States Department of Education, that is being run by a woman who used to be in charge of attending WrestleMania. Like, what are we doing, right? But I somehow feel like I'm not doing enough. So this is the season that we are in as a collective, right? And I probably have missed something or many things, because it's just like, oh, so many things. We're all impacted by this. So what does a time such as this require of us? What is it requiring of us? Now, the T is the 92%. I can take my readers off for this because I just, the 92%. I know that y'all had said that y'all was just gonna go sit down. And when I say y'all, I mean that in like a me and we, in the sense that I also voted. I did not make who I voted for a part of my identity to the degree that some Black women who voted for Kamala Harris in the 2024 election did. And I also, I get it, but it still has put us, as we look at what has happened in the past year with 600 now, I think the statistic is 600,000 Black women who have been displaced or erased from the workforce in 2025. 25,000 people, primarily Black and brown folks, fired from the federal government, if that is the correct number. What is this moment like now here? Like, how y'all doing? How y'all? That's my question. How y'all doing? I don't want to make any assumptions about it because I kind of stopped paying attention to it in the social media space because I kind of got tired of the narratives that were forming around the 92% we rest in. Because like, what are we doing? How are we doing? How you doing? How's your heart, beloved? How are you? I don't know. I'm just curious. Like, we can talk amongst ourselves, right? What's good, sis? But I imagine that of the women and myself, who I'm including in this very target small demographic of Black women who I have engaged with in the capacity of liberatory coaching and leadership support in the past 2 months. There's something happening that is causing none of us to feel like we are doing enough, or feeling like there is more that we should be doing. And I don't believe that is true, nor is it sustainable. And so what is this time requiring of us? So I have an answer that is like a big, broad answer that I want to make more specific. And then I want to kind of build on that as we move over the next several weeks or months through the podcast and just kind of keep talking through some of that of how I'm arriving at these places. So today is not going to be like a solution. I want you to release yourself from the obligation that you should go get a pen and pad and write something down. I just want you to think through some things with me and process and listen as I process and listen to spirit and see where we end up, right? My hypothesis or my offering is that this moment requires more self energy, more energy of self. I think everyone would benefit from more intentional self leadership as opposed to being hijacked, having our consciousness hijacked by reactive, protective, managerial, capitalist, resistant parts or character traits that are the product of hetero, patriarchal, hegemonic domains of power organized through white supremacy culture and social hierarchies. When I talk about self energy, I did not invent the term. I'm using the concept from the Internal Family Systems Institute, Richard Schwartz's work called IFS, or parts work. It has become more popularized in the past decade or so, more mainstream depictions of it, more mental health and behavioral health practitioners who are certified in the training and have read the books and done the work. I use and practice parts work in my work as a coach. And also, it has been integral in my own healing and therapeutic mental health care has been informed by parts work. But basically, self energy is marked by characteristics of allowing the essence of your core self and core self consciousness shine without being embattled with other parts that are representative of coping mechanisms, behaviors, or identity traits and characteristics that came online in order to support you in surviving some past trauma or extreme negative experience that has shaped who you become over the course of your life, right? The self energy is who you have always been. It's the sun in your sky. It is the purest expression of the essence of your highest form. It's indicated by these 8 characteristics or 8 C's of self. So I'm going to go through what the 8 C's of self are. I'm going to list them. This won't be the first or the last time that you have heard me talk about them. And then I'm going to go into a little bit more of the practical how of applying those things, right? Because I honestly, the short answer, like the real homegirl, real tea answer is what this season collectively is requiring of all of us is to put these goddamn phones down. Word to Erykah Badu. I can make it, put your phone down. Right? Is to put the phone down. I ate up a whole slew of brain cells in the past week of my vacation just scrolling, just being nosy on the internet, child, and scrolling. I had all 4 of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse apps back on my phone. It was TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and what's the one that used to be the bird? Now it's the X. Yeah. Crazy. Ate up a bunch of brain cells. Ate up a bunch of brain cells. But what was the phone? The phone was in the way of the self. So in internal family systems, there are 8 characteristics of self energy. All right. What is the moment such as now requiring of us? More self energy, which means deeper or more conscious expressions of these 8 characteristics. They are alliterative, and I love that. I'm going to run them through and then go back and talk about each of them briefly. Calmness, curiosity, compassion, confidence, courage, clarity, creativity, and connectedness. Now, a bonus C is community. Shout out to Bell Hooks. But those are the 8 C's. So these characteristics, if you think about your life and how you show up in it on a daily basis, I want you to consider and just think about giving yourself just a quick, assessment of, on a scale of 1 to 5, about how much of this characteristic do you really feel like you have access to in a given day or situation that arises consciously, right? Calmness, being centered and able to maintain a physical groundedness in the face of a stressful situation or stressful parts, right? Parts of your own psyche that burn your grits. Having a calming presence with other people, experiencing a spacious or peaceful, quiet inside. Why do you need to put your phone down to access calm? Because inside that phone is nothing but it's very ghetto inside the phone. It's just the video clips that people are yelling at you to buy things that you do not need. It's hustle. It's like QVC on meth is what is happening inside your telephone on those apps all the time. And it can be wildly disturbing if you are not very remarkably intentional about how you engage and for what purpose and what spans of time and to what extent and all those different things. Am I saying that you should? I'm not telling you, I'm not shoulding on you at all. What I'm saying is that if you are looking to access the energy of calm, to have access to a spacious and peaceful interior mind and life, it is very difficult to achieve that and be engaged in social media, inside your telephone, inside the minds and thoughts and opinions of billions of strangers at the same goddamn time. It's antithetical to the purpose of calm. And often, in order for us to be able to have access to all of these other characteristics of self-energy, it is essential that we access calm first so that we can quiet the noise of the cacophony of all of these parts and perspectives that are active inside our minds at the same time. So calmness. What is your relationship to calm? Number 2, curiosity. Now, inside a coaching session with me, I'm a very curious person. I feel like I think that there is a devastating shortage of curiosity in the world, in society. Like, in the dating space, child, a man that is curious about me, shit. I mean, you would think that they know everything, they know everything about you, dear. They just ask you 2 questions. How many kids you got and why ain't you ever been married? And then they know everything they need to know about you, even if they don't, because you answer a question and they're like, what you mean you don't have kids? You ain't never had no kids? It's ridiculous. But anyway, I digress. This isn't about dating. Sorta. Curiosity is a characteristic of self-energy. I lead with curiosity in my own life and also with my coach partners, in the sense of like really wondering what's that? What's that about? Being genuinely open and curious about why other parts or other people are reacting as they do. Instead of becoming upset with them, this is an absence of an agenda to change somebody else's behavior and more instead wanting to genuinely understand it. So curiosity can be challenging because we show up so often with judgment because of what we think we know already. We think we know. Well, do you feel or do you think? You thinking or you feeling? What's the name of the emotion that goes along with that? Are you curious about finding new language to articulate this moment in a way that fully expresses your experience and helps you to identify the need that is undergirding all of this judgment and criticism and tension and pressure and control and desire to control, and need to know and urgency, which are also, shout out to Tama Okun, characteristics of white supremacy culture that are unnatural to our rhythm of our humanness and our human beingness, right? So the way to drive out the judgment and lean into the curiosity is through this third C called compassion. And compassion is seeing beyond others' angry or reactive parts and recognizing the fear or pain behind them. Now, feeling caring or care for someone else who's suffering and a desire to help without being overwhelmed by their pain. This can be a slippery slope because sometimes we have folks who are like, I'm a highly sensitive person. I'm an empath. I don't want to take, I just can feel everything, right? In the instance where I'm talking about, potential suitors or men who are like, show up with all their judgments and lack curiosity, it puts me in a position where I am at choice for how I respond, right? How do I respond or engage there? Am I going to lock down and go into judgment mode? Will I be curious about like, well, what is it that would cause you to arrive at this place where you feel like you know all you need to know about me by asking me two questions that are closed-ended questions that are yes or no, right? So then I'm at choice as to whether or not I care to respond with curiosity and ask more questions, or at least hold the compassion that perhaps they just been through some shit and, don't have time for it. Then I'm at choice to be like, you're blocked. Or you could book a session, beloved, and I can we can work on it that way. But yeah, beat it, nerd. It is possible though. Compassion and judgment are not good bedfellows, right? So if judgment is present and you need to give yourself some breathing room, compassion is to say, you had a rough day. You need to decompress. You've been making a lot of choices. Perhaps you just need to turn your brain off for a minute. Let's give it another 15. Set a timer. Take a walk. Take some deep breaths. Pivot. Do something else. But whatever it is, beloved, don't be so hard on yourself, Being in this kind of conversation and response with yourself and your parts in this self energy is something that fortifies this fourth C, which is confidence. It helps to develop and build more confidence. Confidence is trusting that even if you've made mistakes, there's an abiding knowledge that your truest self holds goodness and worth. Your truest self is good and worthy. You are good and worthy, deserving of all the grace there is without having to do anything to earn it or renew it. It's yours, given daily, right? Internally, self trusts its competence even when parts are angry or distrustful. Self-confidence involves relating to parts and people in ways that are healing and effective. Even when the parts are mad and distrustful, even if you're mad at me right now for naming things that you think are stupid and not at all that complicated, it's not that simple, you don't understand, those are parts and I love them too. And I hear you. I do. I hear you. And I love your parts because they want to protect you from disappointment. And maybe they don't trust self, but self trusts self. It's like always bet on black, Trust that the sun is still shining even on a cloudy day. It's still the sun. So even if the parts are got the sky pretty gray, just trust that the sun is still there. You just can't see it, right? That's how you start to develop confidence and self-trust, which is often an issue that comes up in coaching sessions when people are like, well, what do you want coaching on? It's like, I need to increase my self-confidence. Okay. You've got to be clear that we're talking about the same kind of confidence. Don't mind me. This is just a hot flash. But in order to do that, it requires courage. And this C is about approaching formerly feared parts or situations and responding more consciously, standing up to injustice while also speaking for your own extreme parts and apologizing for any negative impact on others. Okay, so listen. This accountability piece, it talks about fear. It talks about accountability. It talks about consciously standing up to injustice. And it also talks about speaking for your own extreme parts, the apologizing for any negative impact on others. There's a lot of layers to what courage can mean. So you can't be brave unless you're first afraid. You can't exhibit courage without acknowledging fear. And sometimes that's the crux of the most of the work is just acknowledging that you are just naming the fact that you are scared of some shit to death, right? started reading this book. I was rereading All About Love. And so I started looking up source material. And so I picked up Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Self-care. I had a lot of judgment, not a lot of compassion for Susan Jeffers. But in her thesis around there being 5 truths about fear, one of them is that not only am I going to experience fear whenever I'm on unfamiliar territory, but so is everyone else. My love, you're not the only one who's terrified about what's happening in the world right now. Angry, outraged, in disbelief, overwhelmed, petrified, anxious, disassociated, like all the different things, whatever it is that you're feeling, you're not alone in the fact that you're feeling it. It's just evidence of your humanity, right? Compassion, confidence. This too is something that you will be able to handle. You can survive this. In whatever way that takes shape that is best for you, you can survive this. But standing up to the injustice requires courage. So writing the thing, saying the thing, showing up in a way that feels aligned with the values of your truest and highest self, even if you don't have all the things that you thought that person, that version of you would or should have, still showing up anyway. And apologizing. Speaking for your extreme parts, like I was tripping, I was aggravated, I was angry, I was fearful. And I realized that my behaviors and actions may have caused you harm, led me to be perceived as disrespectful. I disrespected you. That was not my intention. I apologize. It won't happen again. Look at that. Look at that. An apology that's not an iOS press release. Oh my God. Oh my God. Right? Clarity. Maintaining a clear, undistorted view of situations and parts with an absence of projections. This undistorted view of a situation where you're really applying it with clarity. Like, what lens am I looking through before I make this statement, this post, this comment, before, like, what is motivating or potentially distorting my perspective on what I am doing here? What is my motivation? Am I projecting some other emotional response or reaction to some other reality that is more present in my life into this imaginary space, into this little box, this little, magic device in my hand, and projecting all of that energy at someone else's? And if that's the case, now you're out here fighting with a bot. And so who benefits? What's happening there, right? But if you get clear, you're willing to really see things for what they are. You will call red, red, and black, black, and move on, and not try to make it a damn dissertation or stand on the principle of an argument for just the sake of winning because you're bored. Go touch grass. Just put your phone down, because that's a whole nother thing. The grass is an issue. We're so fried on earth that even going to touch grass is a privilege that is ripe with like privilege and classism and ableism and all kinds of other bullshit around how to tell people to ground themselves in self energy. So I will take accountability for the harmful tone and judgment associated with that recommendation. You see, self energy, creativity, being free to realize creative potential and enjoy exploring novelty, encouraging protectors to relax, and allow parts to express themselves, unencumbered by burdens of fear, worthlessness, and shame. Fear, worthlessness, and shame. Oh my God. Oh my God. Those are the 3 horsemen of the apocalypse. But creativity. Capitalism doesn't care about your creativity, right? Word to my homie, like, it doesn't. Capitalism doesn't care about your creativity. So you should stop caring about what capitalism thinks about your creativity. One thing that I experienced last year was having every single creative idea that I have, having me run it through the filter of, is this something that I can monetize? And it was the biggest buzzkill, and just called me all the way back to being like, I can just have experiences for the sake of my own human expression. I can just do things because I am sovereign in my body and autonomous, and I have access to these freedoms to do such things. And most of the oppression exists inside my mind. I can pick up a pen and just write things because I know how to write. I can read a book because I have the capacity to do that. I can go for a walk because I can be present to my own creative expression. I can just sing songs in the living room because I have a desire to sing songs in the living room because I like the way the vibration feels in my throat and in my chest, and it helps me calm down and soothe myself with my vagus nerve. Not because I think I'm Beyonce or I can do a Jasmine Sullivan run, because I can't. But I like to sing in my living room. It makes me feel good about myself. It helps calm my nerves. It reminds me of my childhood. I really like singing along to Anita Baker. It makes me happy. So do more of the things that make you happy without consideration for whether or not it's something that you should be paid a value for because you produced it, or something that you should deserve because somebody else validated you for it, or you should be ashamed of because you're not as good as the person next to you, right? Cut it out. Connectedness. Feeling a sense of connection with all parts and other people, or a desire to reconnect. Recognizing that all life is connected and that the sense of separateness is an illusion. Ha! The collective consciousness. My padrino calls it the great harmonic convergence, right? We're all in the shit. We're all on planet Earth. We are on Earth. We are feet touching ground. We are here, seated, rooted in our beings and our body. We are literally spinning around on a rock that's floating through an ever expanding galaxy, having spirits, having a physical embodied experience. It's a wild time. It's wild. It's such a wild time. Connect on the human level. Like, for real, go outside. If you have access to other humans, you should go outside and be present with them in spaces. Look them in their eyes when you see them and see yourself, right? See yourself reflected in them. One of my most beloved Audre Lorde quotes that is, I think I recently made my email signature actually, is the long quote is to search for power within myself. To search for power within myself means I must be willing to move through being afraid to whatever lies beyond. If I look at my most vulnerable places and acknowledge the pain I have felt, I can remove the source of that pain from my enemy's arsenals. My history cannot be used to feather my enemy's arrows then, and that lessens their power over me. Nothing I accept about myself can be used against me to diminish me. I am who I am, doing what I came to do, acting upon you like a drug or a chisel to remind you of your meanness as I discover you in myself. Connectedness. Connectedness. It's all connected. But the self energy really brings it together, like connecting with all of your parts of yourself, and then understanding that once you know that you are this miracle, you are this medicine, you are this magic, you are the sum of all of your parts and individual lived experiences and realities and stresses and traumas and loves and fears and pains and successes and wins and greatness. So is everybody else on the planet. Even the people you don't fuck with. They somehow went through something that made them that way. There's context to their story and how they got there. They made choices that they can be accountable to, right? Connectedness. So these are the 8 C's. What the greasy gravy this week is that this time is calling for you to be more of yourself, for you to find ways every day in your life to practice with intention and great care, becoming more of yourself with those characteristics as a guide. And so now the question is, how you know? How you know, Ebony? How you know? And this is what I think we're going to work out over the next series of episodes, is like real lived examples, experiences, and story about how I know that the real world application of really deepening our relationship to these characteristics and deepening our relationships to ourselves makes us better relatives, better human beings, better partners, parents, people. It equips us for whatever is next that we can't predict or prepare for. Just like we never been able to predict or prepare for any of the past traumas that have caused us pain. So spending all our time worrying about it right now, trying to get ready for something might not be the best way to do it. It could just be the answer to live more fully into your humanity for every second that you have the privilege and power of life force in your body. What I know that I know that I know that I know, the practical spell work of healing being possible and magic being real from the inside out, is that you are the medicine, the miracle, and the magic. My best friend Erica says all the time, they told you that healing was witchcraft, so you wouldn't do it, right? But this is about transmutation, and the magic is in the power of making visible what was previously unseen. That's magic. Manifestation, creating something from what is currently already present, what you got already. That's magic. You don't have to go out and get it. It's already in you. You are the medicine, the miracle, and the magic. It's in you. And so what you are creating with these characteristics that are in you, because remember, the sun is still shining even on a cloudy day. It's in you. It ain't on you. It's in you. Okay. So put your phone down so that you can pay attention to what it is that is within you, so that you can hear the calling of what it is that you really desire. So you can get clear about what is important about that. Get curious about what's in the way or what's preventing or blocking it. And to develop the consciousness or the courage to move forward in that direction, to face the fear and do it anyway. Right? So to the 8 C's, I have 8 practical spells that I'll go through briefly, and we'll unpack this work because I want to lean further into it. But the practical spell is to put your phone down. There's power in that. Put your phone down. Delete the app. Nothing happens. I promise. I just delete it. Just take it off your phone. It doesn't matter. Turn off the alerts. Delete your phone. Go into your privacy settings and turn off the microphone that is attached to all the apps that are constantly listening to everything you say. Put your phone down. Put your phone down. Turn it off at night. Put it in another room in the house. Take a break. Relax your shoulders. Put that shit down. But there's power in your attention. What we pay attention to grows. So if you look at the amount of time you are putting attention into what is happening inside that phone, there's some data there that can tell you a lot about what needs you may be having met, or what needs may be going unmet as a result of the amount of time that you invest into being in the phone. I can't say for certain. I don't want to make any assumptions about what that is. I'm not watching your pockets. I get it. People have full jobs and have built very prosperous lives around the commerce of social media and virality and being online on their phones. I get that. But I also know that that ain't everybody. So that's the first spell. Put your phone down. Second spell, close your eyes. The elders would say, like, I'm not asleep, I'm just resting my eyes. This is like a somatic love note from your ancestors. That is a spell or ritual that will help you access calm, to be with yourself with your eyes closed. You can grant yourself access to your own portal just by closing your eyes. You can slip away for a moment and find rest by closing your eyes. It's a practical spell. It's a little practical magic. What do you see in that space? What challenges you in that space? What comes up for you? What information is there? Is it difficult? Is it easy? Do you fall right to sleep? Do you have a difficult time doing that? What happens? Just notice. Now, I'm not telling you to change anything, do it for a set period of time, turn off lights, do all this stuff. I don't want to make work of it, because this is practical magic. This is just our ways of being, right? Practical spells. Unclench your butt cheeks. Okay. I have gone through in great detail what I mean in previous episodes about unclench your butt cheeks. I've talked about it on other podcasts. It is a thing. I had a coffee mug made that says unclench your butt cheeks. Cause girl, why? Everybody's walking around all the time like they're doing a Russian deadlift or a Romanian deadlift all the time, which is booty cheeks clenched. Those big muscles just clench tight. Clench tight. Soften. Soften. Relax your pelvic floor. Let your yoni rest on whatever the seat is that's beneath it. Notice the sensation. Offer the release. Unclench your butt cheeks. As everything kind of starts to soften and go into the earth, you can move into the next thing, which is to plant your feet. Plant your feet if you are that to set your feet on the earth beneath you. If you are grounding and going outside barefoot so you can feel the earth and the dirt to connect, organize the ions and copper and metallics in your body and your bloodstream, well, all that, whatever. Put your feet on the ground. Wiggle your toes if you can, if you have access to them. Plant your feet, right? Evenly. Just feel what that feels like to connect with the earth. Notice the tiny muscles and itty bitty bones in your feet that hold you up all day long. You could do a quick body scan in that. If you put it all together and close your eyes, I'm getting ahead of myself, but plant your feet. Practical magic. Look in the mirror.
Look in the mirror instead of the phone. Look in the mirror instead of the phone or the screen.
Psychologically, it does something entirely different to your brain. It's a whole different reaction. Self-reflection through a mirror. Look in a mirror. Carry a mirror. Check in a mirror without a camera on. Just in a mirror. You and you. I'm looking at the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better self, a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. Bars. Hydrate and nourish. Hydrate. I have a lot to say about hydration because I'm talking about water. Water, moisture, locking in moisture, moisturizing your skin, drinking water, eating foods that contain light water, having access to clean water, the social, political, environmental implications of water, the shortage of water that is being caused by AI, another reason to put your fucking phone down. You know what I mean? Like big. So the practical magic of water is going to be a big, I got to really sit with that because it's like expansive. We're made of primarily water. We're so much to be said there. But imagine the implications, the power of water as it relates to your life and the manifestations of magic in your world, internally and externally. There's just so much there. So if hydration is the first thing of just like drinking water, you are probably thirsty more than you are hungry. You're probably thirsty. You're probably dehydrated. The headache that you're feeling, the constipation that you're experiencing, the high blood pressure that you're having, like a lot of the situations, the breakouts, the lack of skin clarity, you should need to be drinking more water. That's just, it's the truth, child. It's ain't nothing but the truth. So yeah, hydrate. Think about impractical magic, things that can be done with water. Nightmares. Put a bowl of water underneath your bed, at the head of your bed where you sleep. You can even, it doesn't even have to go underneath the head of the bed. You could put a glass of water by your bedside table, just a vessel to, they say spirits don't really like to cross water. So to have a space to kind of collect that energy and absorb it. Thinking about speaking intentions into your water before you drink it. Collecting rainwater because it's sacred and rare to have enough rainfall to actually collect some of it for any spiritual practices or to actually use it as a method of hydration. Thinking about plastics in your water. What kind of vessel are you drinking your water out of? Do you have like a copper canteen or something to ionize water inside of? Are you filtering your water? Like what's your politic about hydration? What's your relationship to water? I'm curious. I want to know. Open your mouth. Unclench your jaw. Open your mouth and speak with intention and kindness. Stand up for injustice when you see it. Advocate for yourself. Speak what you need. A dear friend of mine from the way back, Timnia, would say, speak what you seek until you see what you spoke. I'll never forget it. Timnia Owens. Open your mouth. Closed mouth don't get fed. Sure. Where do you place your advocacy? Who are you fighting for? Do you defend or advocate for yourself with the same fervor and gusto that you do everybody else who didn't even ask you for your help and service and support? But you the one who needing it, and you out here bleeding out and won't fix your mouth to open your mouth to say, can I get a gauze? Somebody please call 911. Tell them I just been shot down and the bullet is in my heart. Shout out to Wyclef. Open your mouth. Sing a song. Scream. Let some air in. Let out a laugh, a big good cackle, a cry, a wail, not a whale. A whale, not a whale. I don't know. You know what I mean. Open your mouth. Say the thing. Speak. It's better to speak. You know what I mean? It's better to speak. If people are dead set on misunderstanding you anyway, it's better to just say what you got to say, because hopefully the people who need to hear it will, right? And at the very least, you are the first one who hears it. It's like out of your mouth into yours and God's ears, right? So speak over yourself. This encouragement, say the words of encouragement to speak into yourself what it is that you are seeking. If it's clarity, if it's safety, if it's protection, if it's forgiveness, if it's love, if it's gratitude, say it out loud. Affirm yourself through your prayers. Talk to yourself. I talk to myself a lot in here in this house. I be talking to me. I be talking to God. I be talking to my Orishas. I be talking to my ancestors. I be talking to me, my parts. I be singing little songs, making it up. I use my voice. Sometimes I'm very quiet and appreciate and enjoy solitude, but also open your mouth, darling. Enunciate. Speak up for yourself. Use your words. And last but certainly not least, breathe, baby. Breathe. Breathe. Now, this is a wild thing because, folks be like, oh, you do breath work and you use dragon breaths and all these and vinyasa breathing and blah, blah, blah. And this, okay, yeah, sure. Right. I just want to invite you to pay attention to the fact that you are breathing, so that when you stop, when you're not breathing, you notice that you are not breathing and see what is happening to your blood pressure and your headache and all the other things. Like, notice if you get that calmness in you and you put your phone down and you breathe in, just pay attention to your breath. You hear it inside your ears. You feel the coolness of it on an inhale through your nose. And then when you exhale, you feel it warm up in your body to come out. You notice your belly softening and rising. If you put all of these spells together and you pay attention to your breath, you let your mouth fall open, you plant your feet softly on the ground, the earth beneath you. You unclench your butt cheeks and allow the full weight of your body to rest in whatever surface is holding you up, whatever chair you're sitting in, riding in your car. If you're riding in your car, please do not close your eyes, or soften your gaze. But when you get to a safe space to be able to do that, yes, right? No phone in your hand. You maybe release your shoulders and let them fall a little bit. Let your hands fall and rest on top of your thighs, and just be with yourself for a few breaths. Take a few moments to just acknowledge the humanness of your body. Feel the temperature inside your mouth. Are you biting the inside of your cheeks, or what's your tongue doing? Is it resting in the bottom of your mouth, or is it like glued to the top of the roof of your mouth? What's it doing? Are you thirsty? Can you generate some saliva from your cheeks right now? Or is your tongue dry as the Sahara Desert? Do you need to take a sip of water? Right? It's not that. It's free. It's free. It's free. You are one of the gifts of the universe here on Earth. Just like the water and the air and the trees and the fields and the oceans and you too are a part of the divine creation. And we're all collective. And that is how I know that healing is possible, magic is real, and love is the answer, because just this bit of remembering yourself and acknowledging that you are a self that is worthy is in and of itself healing. So my question to you is, what will you create from this place of knowing and calm? What awaits you on the other side of it? I'm not offering you any fantastical promises of grandeur or abundance and solutions to all the world's problems, but I am giving you some practical tools and ways of being to show up for yourself every day when them people try to get you up out of yourself, up out of the seat of yourself, when they try to shake you off your block and make you forget who and whose you are. There are these very private and personal practices that one can apply to bring you back home to self, into your body where you are safe and sovereign. It does not happen overnight, but it don't take a lifetime to get back to it. It don't take as long as it took to derail you to get back on a track. And as you deepen your practice, every time may your path back home to yourself and the energy of yourself and self-leadership get shorter and straighter and clearer and more easeful each time you practice. So I want to close today with altar call. And this altar call is to invite all of the parts of yourself that maybe showed up over the course of this time of your listening and watching today's episode to come back. Maybe some of them got sent to other parts of the room or the space. Maybe some of them are pouting or unsettled. Maybe there's some discordance there, but as you go away from this experience and this listening moment and this viewing moment, I want to invite you to know that the movement needs you whole. You are whole. And there is a deep and profound gratitude to every single part and piece of you, without whom you might not have made it to where you are right now today. So we say thank you to the brilliance of your coping mechanism and survival skills. We celebrate you that every day something has tried to kill you and has failed. Word to Lucille Clifton, right? We celebrate every single success, every win, acknowledging your growth and your humanness and your beingness, the power of your legions of ancestors who came before, who brought you to form here. And we honor the choices that you make every single day to continue to live out your life's purpose. I celebrate you for that. So all of the parts of you, we adore them. We thank them. We forgive them. We love them. So big, so deep, so wide. As you call them all back in, remember this embodiment practice of just being present with what is, content with what is now, and curious about what will be. Releasing any need for control, any worry about the future, or any lamentation or disagreement with the past. We're just here now, being whole in our humanness and falling deeper and deeper in love with ourselves every day. Let that be the answer for how we love one another, how we take care of our roles for the future and future generations that will come after us, how we constantly pay respect for those who came before. So with that, I say, thank you. I think we got a show, y'all. Season 2. We out here. Ask me how I know. Thank you for remembering with me. Thank you for coming along on this journey and exploring the 8 C's of self energy. Again, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Coach Ebony Said. You can follow me on Substack at Ebony Imago, IMAGO. My website is ebonyisisbooth.com. I will be back with another episode. If you have any questions or want to reach out and send a note or ask a question for the show, something that you'd like to share with the community that I might read on the show, or anything that you want to know about me or my work as a liberatory coach for Black women in new and emerging leadership roles, please check out my website or shoot me an email, hello@ebonyisisbooth.com. There are more opportunities to connect on the website with submission forms and inquiry pages and contact forms and all that stuff. Sign up for my newsletter and I will be in touch. In the meantime, in between time, you be light and shine. Okay, love you. Bye.